Welcome everyone to Good Night and Good Game, your source for geek news for the weeks that were. I'm your host James, and with me, as always, is my wonderful co-host Hector.
Hello.
And our fantastic producer John.
It's me.
This week on the show, well, we've got all the geek news that you need, but in the boss room, we're going to be breaking down everything from the Switch 2 reveal, and we are going to discuss what the hell is going on with Nintendo. But before we start, don't forget that you can head over to goodnight.gg, where as a patron of our show, you can suggest topics for us to talk about. Also, as a patron, you get access to our off-week episodes. All right, with all that out of the way, it's time to get into the Weekly Raid.
The Weekly Raid.
Welcome, everyone, to the Weekly Raid, your roundup of this week's geek news. This week's news is a bit shorter than most, as the Switch 2 news has kind of been dominating all the headlines, but we do have some non-Switch stuff to talk about, so let's go ahead and just dive right into that. The first bit of news, actually, is the Devil May Cry Netflix series has performed so well over the last week that it's already been given a Season 2 order.
Love it. Having watched it along with you, we will talk about it later.
Yep.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, if you have not watched it and you have any interest in watching the Devil May Cry anime, it's, what is it, 8 episodes?
Yeah, 8 episodes.
It's beautiful. It is a love letter to the 90s. Again, we'll get into this later, but yeah, the fact that it's getting a Season 2 already makes me so happy. Mm-hmm. All right, next up, Dan Trachtenberg, the creator behind the legendary Predator movie Prey, has announced that not only are we getting a follow-up to Prey very soon,
Fuck yeah,
but this summer we are going to be getting a 3-part Predator animated anthology that he oversaw the creation of. That means we get more Predator action this summer, and then Predator Badlands on November 7th.
Shit. I mean, yeah, I'm in. If any of you hearing my voice now.
You know that we're going to stop what we are doing in Japan to watch a Predator movie, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll watch it with Japanese subs. It's great. How am I not going to not go to the movies in Japan when I'm there? I mean, come on, it's me.
You got to experience that. You know?
Yeah, but honestly, and anyone who can hear my voice, I don't care if it's 50 years from now and you're in a bunker and somehow you got access to this, watch Prey. Watch it.
It's
Ember Midthunder
so
is incredible. The movie is so well done. I mean, the Predator movies have always been kind of horror movies, kind of action movies, and this one falls very steadily into the action set piece, but it's not boom boom raw shooty shooty. It's very methodical and interesting.
And she's a badass, but she's a young
she's a human
lady
too.
human
Yeah.
who's just kind of fumbling through some shit. It's great.
Yeah, it's so fucking good, and having the director hopefully bring her back. I don't know if that's in the news or not, but for another round, yeah, super duper in. More Predator stuff, also super duper in.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And just in case you're curious, the animated series will be available on June 6th.
Is it going to be Hulu?
It's Hulu, yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is also, I believe, where the new Predator movie is going to be premiering as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just like Prey did, there it is.
I'm in.
All right, next up for the news, the Mike Flanagan Stephen King Amazon adaptations are in full steam ahead. There was the announcement of the remake of Carrie this week. So Mike Flanagan is currently casting the remake of Carrie. It's part of, if you were unfamiliar, Amazon kind of brought over Mike Flanagan from Netflix, said, hey, we loved all the things that you did on Haunting of Hill House and Bly Manor and all that good stuff. Do it for us. Mm-hmm. Here's more money. Mm-hmm. And he said, thank you.
I would love more money.
There was also a big controversy that we didn't talk about too much where Mike Flanagan actually wanted to get things like the Haunting of Hill House put onto physical media, and Netflix basically told him, no. And he was like, great, so my work is just going to be confined to Netflix. Mm-hmm. I do not
for now.
At the whim of whoever wants server space in 20 years. Yeah.
And so that was a big factor in why he went over to Amazon, aside from the dump truck full of money I assume they showed up with. Mm-hmm. So we know, so in the past, Mike Flanagan had adapted Gerald's Game, which he did on Netflix, Dr. Sleep, which came out in theaters.
That was great.
And he's also currently adapting the Stephen King story Life of Chuck, which will be coming out pretty soon.
Very cool.
So Life of Chuck around the corner. We know that Carrie has been greenlit and being cast, and we know that he is actually working on the Dark Tower series, which, man,
yeah, that is
bold.
That is fucking Mount Olympus he is trying to scale right there.
That is a
I don't...
cursed franchise.
So cursed. So
Yeah.
cursed. It's cursed as a book series.
It
like,
is.
like, much less any other form of media it tries to get adapted to.
Mm-hmm.
So, like... That's a scary one. If there's anyone who is going to make a series that is already haunted by a ghost, it was going to
It's
be
that.
Mike Flanagan.
Yeah. A ghost is a wish.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all wish that somehow the Dark Tower series was available in any way and somehow like coherent.
Like Stephen King was like basically all I read as a kid. And even I didn't even finish The Gunslinger.
No, it's a lot.
I tried. Like, it was good, but like at some point my brain just went, I don't know if I can do this.
Was it when he went and talked to himself?
I
Is that what threw you off?
don't remember. It was, I have tried like twice. It's like the Dark Tower series and the Silmarillion are these things that I just cannot, my brain will not allow me to process.
There's
these
a
things.
density to it. If you throw
Yeah.
fucking Dune in there, right? Like
True,
there's
Dune
just
as
like
well.
there's a specific kind of writing that for some people is just like,
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. My only other comment, and no disrespect to anyone about anything, but we do a Carrie remake like less than 10 years ago.
We did. It
Yeah.
was.
It had Chloe Grace Moretz, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty dope.
Yep.
Like it wasn't great. It was popcorn fodder.
I mean, the first one was pretty good as well.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I
first
like
one's a
the
classic.
One. First one's
Yeah.
an absolute classic.
Yeah. So, but this is just part of the whole Mike Flanagan, Stephen King thing.
Okay.
Like they said, all right, here's your dump truck full of money, and we just want you to produce nothing but Stephen King. And he said, that's all I've wanted to do
Yeah.
with my entire life. With the asterisks, my wife will be in every movie. And they're like, of course she will.
Of course you will. Have you seen her? And he's like, yeah, she wakes up next to me.
Right? He's like, yeah, I have. Holy shit.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's very exciting. Kudos to him. And I am super on board with Carrie as long as it was his idea and not like Hulu's. And he just had he's always had this great Carrie thing in his back
I do
pocket
believe
that
this
he's
is
been
all
wanting
his
to
stuff.
pull out.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Next up, Michael Cernowski, the writer and director of A Quiet Place Day One, has been tapped by A24 to write and direct the upcoming adaptation of the game Death Stranding. Kojimo's quoted as saying, "There's a lot of game adaptation films out there, but what we're creating is not just a direct translation of the game. The intention is that our audience will not only be fans of the games, but our film will be for anybody who loves cinema. We're creating a Death Stranding universe that has never been seen before, achievable only through the medium of film."
I mean, I really hope so. I mean, if it was either going to be, we're going to have to fucking rework it and make it Death Stranding the movie, not Death Stranding the game, or we were going to get Death Stranding the game, the movie, and Kojima was going to have our theater chairs replaced with treadmills. and that's what it was going to be like to go see Death Stranding.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's Kojima. I mean, I know it's going to be a ride.
The fact that he is getting somebody else to write and direct it, though.
Oh yes, yeah. He only gets away with his shit in video games. Like you can't run around with like one of his scripts to Hollywood and be like, make a movie. They're like, the fuck, yeah, no. I'm glad that he's on board, that he's there with it. I think that it's a great story that could easily be adapted into like an hour, 2 hour thing. That sounds great. I'm excited, but we all know the fate that befalls video game franchises and films. So, I mean,
we say as we were going, we cannot wait for The Last of Us this weekend.
very true. So I will give this news one prayer hands emoji.
Do you guys think it'll have what's his Boondocks name in it?
Norman Reedus?
Norman
Yeah.
Reedus, I hope so.
I mean, I hope so. The game is Norman Reedus and the Funky Fetus.
All right.
Yeah, I hope it's got everyone. I hope him, Leia Sadu, Margaret Qualley,
Yeah, please.
Absolutely, Mads
Man,
Mikkelsen.
Margaret Qualley is just killing it these days, isn't
Yeah,
she? Like,
she is.
What a rising star in Hollywood. Holy shit. All right, our last bit of news before we get into our main topic is that Ubisoft, nothing ever good starts with that. No
No.
sentences.
Never not once.
Never not once. It's a good thing. Ubisoft is being sued by 2 players after they shut down the online racing game title The Crew. In the lawsuit, the players claim that the game is a, quote, skeleton of what you thought you paid for, and are arguing that the game should have been left in a playable offline state and not just the game wiped from existence. So to kind of simplify this, because I'm using the what is in the legal jargon of this, the crew has been around. The game has been around since 2014. Ubisoft finally said, "Hey, we need to take the servers offline. It's costing us more money than it is to keep it up." And two of the players said, "Well, we're going to sue you over that." And you may be asking, "Well, how do they get away with this?" So, the two players have submitted a photo of the back of the game box for the crew. And on the back of the game box for this game that you cannot play anymore, it says that the activation code for the game does not expire until 2099.
Damn.
That's what they are using as the legal precedent to say, hey, you took the game servers down and we're going to sue you. And according to what you put on the box, this is supposed to be available until 2099. This might be the dumbest lawsuit I have heard in a while, but God, I hope they win it.
Yeah.
Here's why I hope they win. This is a battle that will absolutely need to be fought, and I'm kind of glad it's being fought now because these aren't two guys trying to revive the crew. I mean, they are. They absolutely are. But what we're seeing here is the battle for game preservation. If your game is mostly online and you cut your servers, does your game still run? If the answer is no, then what did you sell people? Did you tell them that plainly up front? Did you ever tell them that? Is it your responsibility to, at the very least, leave the game in a playable state that is, still content rich? Unless it's something like, I don't know, a game. If it's Call of Duty multiplayer and people are mad, that depends on other players. That's not what I'm talking about. But if the game really doesn't work without its online servers, then you need to patch it so that it does. So that it does run on its own without connection to the internet. Because otherwise you sold someone a temporary product. And that's not okay because I can plug in an NES cartridge right now into a machine that will accept it and play Super Mario and or Duck Hunt. So like no online required. That is the standard. So I really hope that whatever legal shenanigans they need to, they put the onus on companies to keep their games in a playable state after they're abandoned. This should be the final stage of development for any game. It's just what happens when we don't want to pay for the servers anymore. It should be planned into games.
Sure. And I am not trying to give Ubisoft an out because I would never want to do that. But I will say you and I both work in tech. And there is very much a reality in which you can spin up a very small instance of a game and have that one tiny little server. Because, there's only probably like 5 people playing the game.
Yeah.
You could spin up one tiny instance of it that would cost you, I don't know, $10 a month, 15 maybe max.
Yeah.
For keeping that thing afloat. And for Ubisoft, of all people, that's like not even lunch in your cafeteria.
Yeah, and like maybe what we need is some kind of GitHub hub like system where like you can like select which decommissioned game you want to play, and it has the ability to pop up a server for you for like a monthly service fee.
Yeah,
like that sounds great, but we can't get our shit together enough to do something like that. It's a good business idea.
It's actually not too bad, yeah. All right, that's everything that we have for the weekly raid, but stick with us as we get into our main topic in the boss room.
GOG, still my idea. Boss room.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. It is time for the boss room, sometimes related to the news, sometimes not. This is the part of the show where we can dive deeper into our opinions on things like this week's topic, the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal and the controversy surrounding it. So, we're going to start by giving everybody a quick overview of all the things that were announced during the Switch 2 presentation. We're going to talk about some of these things. This is actually kind of funny because in the last episode, we said, we're probably not going to cover the Switch 2 presentation because there's no way that they're not going to show anything other than the Switch 2. That would be a waste of our time to do a podcast about it. Fucking joke's on us, I guess, because here we are, and it's our entire main topic.
Well, you didn't know they would ruin the industry.
I didn't know they would ruin the industry. So let's start off with just the overview of what's going on with the Switch itself, the Switch 2 itself, and then we can get into the controversy. So we'll lead with the fun, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So the Nintendo Switch 2 will debut in June, starting at $449, with a $500 version that includes Mario Kart World. The Nintendo Switch 2 will come with the console, Joy-Con 2 controllers, some straps, dock, HDMI cable, all that good stuff. The Nintendo Switch 2 has 4K support. It has HDR. It has Joy-Cons that have mouse controls, 256 gigabits of storage. There's a new Joy-Con that has a magnetic snap to it instead of them sliding in like they do now. The Joy-Cons also have mouse control. So you can just take the Joy-Cons out and now you have a mouse. A very thin one, but you have a mouse. They also have new features on the Switch 2, things like Game Chat. So Game Chat and Game Share are two new features. I'm just going to put it simply. It's just Discord.
Yeah,
but
it's bad Discord.
It's very bad Discord.
Yeah. When you look at it, it's you can you can watch a video of your friend playing a game at like 144p at like 7 frames a second.
Yeah, and we will get back to that in a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's Game Chat, there's Game Share. There's Game Share in the sense that you can actually like loan your games out to other people as long as they're in your family plan. We talked a bit about that last week. There's going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 camera. It's going to be $50, and that's part of your Game Chat. And certain games will utilize putting your video chat into the game itself.
Yep. Nintendo Spy sold separately.
Exactly.
Which is good. You don't want to make your console come with a camera. The Xbox learned that lesson.
Yep. So game-wise, The Legend of Zelda Breath in the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom are going to be getting Switch 2 editions at launch. You can also, if you already own those games, pay $10 and just get the Switch 2 version. This will allow them to run at 60 frames and looks really good, actually. I was impressed. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to be getting a Switch 2 edition that will have mouse controls and has its own quality and performance modes to it, unique to the Switch 2. So let's get to some of the games. We can talk about those. Kirby Air Riders, that's going to be coming out. We haven't seen a Kirby Air Rider game since the 64, I want to say.
I want to say yeah, because I haven't. That's been a hot minute.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute for that one. They showed off Mario Party Jamboree, which is a game that already exists, but it's getting an expanded version on Switch 2 that will have mouse controls, integration features for the video camera, all that good stuff.
You can end your friendships in high definition.
You can. Pokemon Legends Z-A, Nintendo Switch Edition, will have better resolution, better frame rate.
But are the windows better?
Nope, the windows are not better.
The windows are not better.
They showed the game Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, and we will come back to talking about that. They showed a actually pretty fun-looking game called Drag X Drive, which is a 3v3 game. It's like wheelchair basketball, basically.
Oh, that sounds dope.
Yeah, it was actually really cool, and it's basically mouse-focused. That was pretty nifty. The Nintendo GameCube will be getting its own section. The way, like on the Switch right now, if you have a Nintendo subscription, you can get like the SNES backlog and things like that. The GameCube library, free GameCube library will be coming if you have a Nintendo subscription and a Switch 2.
Amazing.
Let's talk about the big stuff. The Duskbloods is a new From Software game that is coming exclusively to the Switch 2 in 2026.
Now, I want to watch this space, right? Because, look, this is not a game for children. This is a PvPvE, PvP, whatever. It puts its P in a V. It is
that it does.
Yeah, it is a From Software game that is multiplayer focused and exclusive for now to the Switch 2. Luckily, we did find out that From Software owns the rights, not Nintendo, so we won't end up with that situation again.
Right.
But the atmosphere and the art style is very much, we got Bloodborne. We got Bloodborne. And not only that, but also when it comes to the games, a lot of what has been shown off is like a ton of third-party support. Do you remember how much third-party support has been lacking since the GameCube. Like Nintendo, even on the Wii, like games were canceled over and over again that were like, we're gonna get a Wii version because it's got 100 million, console install base, and then it would get canceled because we can't run Colonial Marines on a Wii.
Right.
And then once the Wii U sold so poorly, they had no third-party relationships. The Switch 2, not just getting like every indie ever with like a good place to play Hollow Knight Silksong, but like it's getting Cyberpunk.
It was a running joke in the just online space for all things Nintendo that if you have a Switch, hey, great, you can play last generation's games.
Exactly. Now it looks like the last generation's games aren't such a bad proposition now. When you can get Street Fighter, 6 on there. When you can get
Final Fantasy Rebirth.
Yeah, Final Fantasy Rebirth. Now that we have mouse controls, we get Civ 7
That's
on the
weird.
Switch too. Isn't it?
I would never want to play Civ on a console. And
You're just at your couch, but you have your mouse, and apparently this mouse works on anything.
Yeah.
Apparently you can mouse it on your leg, on the couch, whatever, and then it flips back and forth seamlessly if you want to go back into like Joy-Con aiming
Do you
mode.
think it would work like
It just knows.
like one of those sushi bars, but it's like on a person?
Right? I love it. Yeah, so this is what I'm going to say to start off my opinions about what's going on with Switch before we get to the bad parts.
I appreciate that because my computer decided to update Windows while you were in the middle of your conversation.
Exactly. So what I want to say about this is this piece of kit, it looks really, really good. Nintendo knew that they were entering a market with a Steam Deck that has sold like 3 million units. And for a thing that only works on people's PC game libraries, that's very impressive. And they knew they had competition, and if they were going to go with another Switch design, that this thing needed to come out swinging. And by God, does it seem like they've figured that shit out. With the detachable Joy-Cons on magnets that are apparently very stable. The mouse control is an incredible idea. These are all really good things. Apparently, the screen is really nice. You're talking about up to 120 hertz at 4K. Not at 4K, but 60 FPS 4K isn't out of the question. You're talking about a console that has G-Sync, DLSS, and ray tracing.
Ray
tracing.
Fucking the 5000 series of video cards doesn't have ray tracing, but the Switch 2 does.
Yeah, just NVIDIA features just front loaded into this thing. It's still just as thin, even though it can do all of these new amazing things that Switches couldn't do before. It's actually good for playing games that look like, modern games do. It can actually hold up against, the really good stuff that we're getting on PC and PS5 and stuff like that. It seems like a really good deal. And when you think about how many Nintendos are sold compared to, things like a Steam Deck, this is a good deal for people who want it. That this is an excellent console with a lot of potential, that if they play their cards right, I mean, this could somehow be bigger than the Switch, which is saying a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, the Switch was a huge deal. I mean, like a lot of people are still playing theirs, and they're excited that the Switch 2 will be backwards compatible.
Yeah, backwards compatibility. There's another good one.
Right? I mean, that's just...
we're going over good stuff.
I mean, Nintendo is finally kind of figuring these things out. And they're
How backwards compatible? Like, could I take a Switch 1 game, like
Yes.
the
Just plug it in.
SD card, and
Yep.
okay.
You just plug it right in,
All right.
and it reads it, and
Yep.
you play the game.
same
All right.
same kind of cartridge,
Yep.
same awful taste of the cartridge, apparently.
Oh, yeah. They make them taste bad because they're swallow size.
Yep. Yep, that is
They
a true
intentionally do
They
that.
Yes,
intentionally do that.
they have a coating on them that tastes terrible in case a toddler sticks it in their mouth.
Speaking
That's
of From
nice.
Software, Elden Ring is getting its own edition called the Tarnished Edition.
Yeah, I laughed when I heard about it's the tarnished edition.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty funny considering it probably won't run great. Considering Elden Ring has never run great.
They showed a new game, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. This is another one of those Dynasty Warrior style games, but it's Legend
sure.
of Zelda.
Yeah, pile them on, whatever.
Yep.
I'm gonna play it.
It was announced that Hades 2 will be getting released in 2025 on the Switch and Switch 2 before other consoles.
Nice. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a perfect machine for it.
It is absolutely. Actually, my Switch is where I played Hades. Like, and it ran perfectly, and I
Yep.
loved it. And that's probably the most played game that I have on my Switch.
Oh, yeah.
was Hades.
Yeah, I got part 2 on my Steam Deck. It fucking rips. It's great.
But yeah, like you were saying, there's tons of third-party support coming. They showed off a trailer for Deltarune's new chapters.
Nice.
Those will be
piling on the high class indies.
Yep, and so like the new chapters for Deltarune will be launching on the same day as the Nintendo Switch 2 drops. And the last big trailer that they showed at the very end was they showed a game that was Donkey Kong Bonanza.
Oh yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
If you like a monkey,
Yep.
it's got lots of monkeys.
It's got all kinds of bananas for you.
It is so many monkeys, you will have a good time.
Yeah.
Now that we've all had fun, it's time for us to talk about the controversies surrounding the Switch 2.
Right. I want to start off by saying, like, for everything that we've said about the Nintendo so far, and I know we're all used to having our Nintendos come in.
It sounded like you said we're all used, and I think that's more appropriate.
Also
But
very
continue.
true. This machine at $450 feels pretty right to me.
I mean, if I
As
didn't
a
know
price.
what the price of the first one was, you tell me this price out of nowhere, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's like half the price of a souped-up version of whatever the hell I was
going to
gonna
say,
get.
this is coming from a guy who spent, I think it was $700, $800, one of those on my Steam Deck.
Yeah.
To get like a first-gen one with all the bells and whistles on it. So having this machine come along, and it's not quite as powerful still, but it's got so much interesting shit on it, so much technology packed into a handheld device that's much smaller than my Steam Deck still. The price of the thing feels right. However,
Super Mario Kart World was announced to be $80 starting.
yeah, and
That's without DLC.
Yeah.
That's not a premium package. That's not the promise of a season pass. That is an $80 cost.
now let's talk about what's happening here.
And I think before we even begin the conversation, I want to just squash one tired argument about the price of games has been X amount for X amount of years, blah, blah, blah. That's a lie. That is a lie they have been shoving down our throats for many, many years because, as we all know, you get only part of the game that you originally would have gotten back in the day. Back when my mom spent $50 on Super Mario 3, we got the entire Super Mario 3. Nowadays, when you spend $50 on a Super Mario game, you're getting most of it. You're getting a good chunk
example
of it.
I like to use is that I, in fact, did save up my entire summer work savings as a kid to buy an $80 video game, and that was Super Street Fighter 2 for the Genesis. That was basically a generation game for the Genesis, and that was a pretty beefy game. Like that was pushing the cartridge to its like maximum. And yeah, that was expensive. Like it was $80 and God, what was it, like 94, 95, something like that.
And there's a whole conversation to be had about the price of games for sure. And I agree with John 100% here. We will absolutely. I mean, 5 years ago, Sony and then everyone else behind them raised the price of most AAA games that launched to $70. And the cost is going up again already? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's what Nintendo intends here. I really don't. I don't think most of their games are just going to come out like as Nintendo first party at $80.
So if I could give you a quote real quick, because I see where you're going with this. I have a quote from Doug Bowser, who's the head of Nintendo. He did say that $80 isn't a universal or fixed price tag, but rather a number that can shift based on the scale and scope of individual releases.
Yeah.
He said these are all factors, and there are many more that go into consideration as to what's the right price point for the game. So I think that you can anticipate there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark. Mind you, he said this after the internet lost their shit.
This, by the way, the thing that Bowser just said right there is horse shit. It is horse shit. That's not what's happening. We are not getting, we'll price games based on how much content is in them or how good they are. No, they will not. They will charge what the market will bear for first-party titles. Period. What is happening is they really, really want to sell as many copies of Mario Kart as possible, and it is $50 if you buy it with the console right then and there, which takes the guesswork out of what game are you going to get first. Or you can pay $80 to get it separately if you decide you want to get fucking Dust Bloods or whatever first. You know? This is I'm not going to call it a good strategy because the reason Bowser didn't come out and say that is because people would say, well, that's predatory. I want my game for the same price as people who buy the console get it with first. Stop it. So he said some bullshit. No, that's absolutely not it. I think their games are going to come out at the Nintendo price that their, AAA titles have always come out at, and that this is a marketing strategy to get people to buy bundles. 100%. They really want that extra $50 because despite everything that, despite the increased price, I guarantee you they're taking a loss on these to start. So
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah. So that extra $50.
There's never been a console in existence that didn't take a loss during the first generation.
Right. So that right there, that extra $50 might make that so much easier to swallow that they're willing to do this. It really is. And not that there's not a world out there where, fucking GTA 6 comes out this summer and it's $80. I fucking believe that. Absolutely. Fuck you guys. But I don't think Nintendo is like the first shot across the bow. I don't think that was their intention, especially not considering all the other shit going on in the world right now that is also affecting the price of a Switch.
I'm about to unleash Hector on the podcast, which the second bit of controversy isn't really controversy, but it is a thing that did surround a lot of the things that are going on with the Switch 2, and that is that pre-orders for the Switch 2 were actually put on hold after the announcement because of the Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, and the reason for that is but, market uncertainty is bad. And they don't want to announce a console at a price that, after the tariffs, will have doubled, tripled. They're not sure. China went from like 40% tariffs to 145 today. So we don't know what's going to happen. Japan was hit hard before those tariffs were recalled to a blanket 10% for no reason at all, which is still very bad.
Man, are we going to be like those Australians who are talking about eventually getting games and consoles?
Yeah, those $100 games. At least we don't have their morality police.
They ain't nothing compared to what happened to Brazil. All right.
That's true. Yeah.
Brazil, the cost of a console, at least it used to be 2 or 3 times the amount to get a console. You just couldn't get a modern console in Brazil. That's why there was such a big pirate market. That's also why Brazil so recently started investing in game development, is so that they could start having more modern games, not only that are Brazilian made, but to help bring down the cost of things like consoles in the Brazilian market.
So what you're saying is we need to make our own Switch too.
Sell it in Brazil.
Sell it in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just buy a Steam Deck.
Yeah, definitely the second one. The thing about the tariffs is that you can pre-order one of these in Australia right now. You can do it obviously in Japan. You can do it in all of Europe, the UK, wherever. You cannot in America because they do not know how much to tell you it will cost. They have no idea, and they don't know how many units that means they are or aren't shipping to the United States, because in the United States, $450, $500 for a new console, especially if you're one of those households that just runs a Switch, just buys Nintendo, it's pretty good. You're in for it. You're going to have a good time. The next one is going to be great. You're going to love it. You might game more. But $650, $700, that's a horse of a different fucking color. People aren't going to be into that at all. So they may not need to ship as many, which means they won't have supply problems in the UK or the EU or, in their own country, and anywhere on Earth. Yeah. So thanks a lot, fuckface. Everyone listening knows who I'm talking about. Sometimes it sucks to be an American. What can I tell you? Woo. Boy, oh boy.
All right. The next bit of controversy surrounding the Switch 2 is the game chat functions. No better way to put it. Shit frame rate.
Yeah.
When you were watching the demonstration, they were showing it to you weirdly is the way it will appear to you. And that is, while you are playing a game, your screen is still running at 60 FPS and everything's running fine. If you have 4 friends that you are in a chat, God, I'm just going to fucking call it a Discord chat because that's what the fuck it is.
Sure, yeah.
In the fucking Discord chat.
It can be a Nintendo chat.
Under you, all of their frame rates for all the games they're running are trash.
Oh, yeah. It's slideshow, low quality GIF. Slideshow.
And even if you're not playing a game and you blow up one of their games, it is still a shit frame rate. And Nintendo has kind of said this is by design.
And
they basically said they don't want the hardware to be dedicating too much of its processing power to what other people are playing. It should be focusing on what you're playing.
Right. And you see, for a market, in a market for kids, 100%. I get it. Yep. I mean, I was never going to use the Switch 2 as like my main like chat anything or how to hang out with my friends. But for kids, they probably don't care what their friend's screen looks like. They're just happy to have their voice in the room.
My computer is not like the thing that we are doing this show on right now is not like the most high-end system. It is got a 3080 with 32 gigs of RAM on it.
It'll work.
It's functional.
It's good.
I can play a game, have Discord open, and my friends playing games.
While watching you play games
and
in a window in Discord.
Does not affect my frame rate.
Yeah.
That my machine runs Monster Hunter fucking flawlessly. It's not a new machine, but like a lot of people have been having problems with Monster Hunter. Not mine. Like I don't understand what people are having problems with. You know, maybe I'm just fortunate that my machine just magically runs Monster Hunter. When I played Cyberpunk, the only place that I had a problem with my computer is Dogtown.
Oh, yeah. It's so fucking dense.
Like,
Yeah.
and that was something that Skillup did a video recently, and credit to him for talking a lot about this stuff to help educate the rest of us to understand the breakdown of some of these controversies that are going on right now. But like one of the things he brought up in one of his videos was just like, here is the Switch 2 running Dogtown smoothly. You know, and that's freaking awesome. But the idea that they have a Discord call where they intentionally throttle your friends, like, and it doesn't seem like there's even a way to change that.
No, I think they don't want you to mess with that because
It's
if
a
they
feature.
if they can guarantee only a specific amount of, power goes to this thing, then the games can require as much as they want. They don't want to have to deal with, this guy's, streaming at 1080 into this kid's like small corner of his screen while you're trying to run, I don't know, Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, no, it's the chat program, I guess it's fine. I don't want a camera in my living room any more than I want my hypothetical 5-year-old to be able to chat with strangers he meets online in video game lobbies. I barely like allowing me to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
The next little bit of controversy for the Nintendo Switch 2 is the game that comes out at launch called Welcome Tour, which literally just shows you cool features of the console, a la the way that Astrobot did for the PS5.
Right.
Is $10.
Let's talk about that, right? Because Astrobot, the recent game Astrobot that James played, it's a marvelous fucking game.
Fucking masterpiece.
That is a video game. That is a platformer. It's as good as any Mario game that's ever come out. The original Astrobot, the one that came with your PlayStation 5 back in the day, that is a tech demo for the PlayStation.
Yep.
It is a big nostalgia hunt where you just kind of, you are a little PlayStation thing and you grab parts from PlayStations throughout the years. Also that you can build a PlayStation 5. It's very cute. And it gives you a tour of all the features of your PlayStation. It's nice. It came preloaded in all the consoles. Kind of like an entire Mario game did on the Wii U. What the fuck are they doing? Like, that's genuinely embarrassing.
$10. And from all the reports that we are hearing, the Nintendo Welcome Tour that costs $10 is nowhere near worth the cost.
Right. Yeah. It's a fucking little...
They're saying it's like a 30-minute, maybe an hour tech demo.
Yeah, it's just the specs, right?
You as a character walk around the console in a virtual world.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's very cute, and they have you like, here, try out the mouse. Make sure you got like, let's see you use the mouse. Oh, try and snap one of the Joy-Cons off the console. Here's what the button looks like. It's that kind of stuff, you know? It gets you familiar with your device, and those are great. Make those. Don't charge us for them. You're charging me for a commercial for something you already sold me.
Didn't the original Wii come with like Wii Sports?
Yeah.
Like Jesus, like that.
Wii fucking Sports.
And they are still kicking themselves for that.
Probably.
Make
That's
no
why
mistake.
they released Wii Sports 2 like a year later as a game you can buy.
But like the fact that this Welcome Tour costs $10 and from all accounts it is not worth it. It is a waste of time and money at that point. Like it feels like a big shame on you, Nintendo, for doing this.
Yeah. Straight up watch a YouTube video of someone playing it. It's like half an hour.
Now, the last bit of controversy surrounding the Switch 2 announcement was that not every game cartridge will have game data on them.
And not every game comes with a cartridge.
Yeah, some of those game cartridges just have a built-in key for unlocking the game online.
But don't worry, you'll still pay more for it if you get the physical
So
blank
let's
cartridge.
continue to talk about this $80 price point, though.
Right.
All these things connect to one another. So you were saying this is like bait for people who are like physical media collectors.
Right. I
going,
mean, game
"Oh."
preservation sucks without physical media that you can
Right.
purchase.
But what Nintendo's going is, here's the physical media, guys. It's going to cost you $80, but really, it's just a key. It is no different than buying Gears of War 3 and you open up your plastic box you got from GameStop and there's just a paper with a code in it.
There's your download code.
Yeah. What you just paid $80 for was the little plastic box.
Remember when we had to do that shit when we would go to GameStop and someone would give us like a 30-digit code that we had to put in with a controller into our console? Jesus Christ, it's like being a caveman.
Right? So this is a pretty big fucking deal. Like a lot of people are talking about this, especially physical media collectors, and I've got a lot of friends who are physical media collectors.
I mean, the big thing is the box, right? Like every Nintendo game ever has come with a box, like regardless of what's inside of it. Like that's part of your collection. You display that. It's a thing,
Yep.
you know. But and not having like. I can go both ways on the physical cartridge not having the game on it. I haven't bought a physical copy of a game since the PlayStation 3.
Sure.
I don't care for them. I can download the game at any time. Granted, all my shit may go away someday, but so could yours. Who knows?
And this isn't a Switch 2 specific controversy. This is just kind of a Nintendo controversy as well.
Right. It's Nintendo changing what they've always done.
Nintendo is notorious for their games barely ever going on sale, and if they do, they barely go on sale for more than like 10%.
Very true.
So you will still pay $80 for Super Mario Kart World, regardless if you downloaded it or if you went to GameStop and bought a physical copy of it.
Yep.
And that physical copy may actually just have that code imprinted on the inside of it so that it just tells the Switch 2 to download it.
I actually, maybe I'm getting bad information, but I heard that the online digital download version was less than what you would purchase at the store.
Sometimes.
Very rarely is that true. As somebody who owns a Switch and has often waited for sales for Nintendo products, like if I guarantee you, if I went over and grabbed my Switch right now, which I can't because it's not charged, and I tried to look up like Tears of the Kingdom, I guarantee you it's $60.
Oh, full fucking price.
Like
for
60 to 70 on the store. That's the non-sale price for it right now. That is just how Nintendo does things. So to kind of rein this back into what we were talking about this earlier discussion where we were saying like, hey, Nintendo's talking about this $80 price point and all these things. Keep in mind that when we are talking about the future cost of games, the cost of video games has been increasing over the last 10 years. From 50 to 60 to 70 to possibly 80. And what we are physically getting in return is less. That means that companies are not paying for packaging. They're not paying for cartridges. They're not paying for CDs. They're not paying for the paper to print the CD keys on.
Yeah. From what I understand, a lot of the third parties flat out refuse to deal with the cartridges at all or any physical copies. They don't want to manufacture that shit.
Right. So we live in an era where we are now paying more while substantially getting less. So I don't want to get into that discussion too heavily, but I do want y'all to think about that, right? When people are saying, well, the game cost of game development is going up. Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right, it is. But the games industry has already been figuring out how to cut those corners.
Oh, yeah.
As an indie developer, like if I was an indie game developer, I can build something in Godot or Unity right now, and I can choose to ship it on Steam at a $60, $70, $80 price point. We talk about the fact that the AA game is, dead and buried because the cost of game development is so high, but they're recouping that cost in other ways.
Oh, they absolutely are.
That's a bigger discussion for a different time that is not Nintendo related, and we should be talking about the cost of these things. But these are the controversies that are surrounding the Switch 2 release. These are the current discussions that are going on online that while they can get heated, oftentimes it's just people going, something isn't mathing about this math.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hector, any final thoughts before we wrap up the boss room?
Man, I don't know. I guess my final thought is mostly like the $80 game thing. Like everyone can see that we are headed for a global recession, like big time. It's unfortunate, the tariff thing. It's fucking stupid, is what it is. But it is unfortunate that is happening on the eve of this console launch, because that is putting Nintendo in a hard place. A part of me feels bad for them because they really hit it out of the park with this version of their console, and there are going to be things in the way of them getting rewarded for that. That being said, they have made some really strange decisions. The $80 game thing is wild. I get it, but it's wild. The share your game with your friends system is convoluted and unnecessary when you can just do the Steam family thing. It'd actually make more sense and be easier for everyone involved. Yeah, I don't know. Nintendo has lagged behind the generations for so long that watching them catch up a little bit this way is probably going to make it more evident where their actual deficiencies are. When it comes to like online stores, being able to buy your friends games, having a functional friend list inside of like multiplayer things. This is all going to need to happen very quickly, because they're going to once again have games like Street Fighter 6, because they're going to have stuff where you really do need to connect with your friends and be able to talk to them depending on what you're playing. And I really hope they figure it out. It looks like they're trying. It looks like they get it. But
here's just food for thought
Nintendo.
Before we wrap this whole thing up. In most modern video game consoles, I cannot purchase a game for my friends. That's really fucking weird to me. On Steam,
It's so weird.
Steam, I could do it for days.
I've been buying my friends' games on Steam for 10 years.
Right? The other day, it was announced that in Marvel Rivals, a game that has been around, 5 months?
Yeah.
You will have the ability to just purchase skins for your friends.
That is so fucking smart.
Right?
Yeah.
And I can't, if we both had Switches, I can't buy you Tears of the Kingdom.
No, you cannot.
No.
No matter how
That's
much you want me to
fucking
play it.
weird to me.
You can't buy me a multiplayer game to play with you.
Yeah. That's fucking weird to me.
Yeah.
All right, that is everything that we have for the boss room this week, but stick with us as we get into what we've been up to in the epilogue.
Epilogue.
Hey everyone, welcome to the epilogue, and it's time to dive into what we've been up to this week, what we've been playing, what we've been watching, what's been occupying our free time, and what has been making us happy. John, why don't we start with you?
We are going to finally talk about some fucking Severance.
I mean, we're not going to talk about it now.
What?
I mean,
why not?
Because that would spoil it for people that haven't seen it. We would need to do a dedicated Severance boss room. For that.
We got to prepare them. We got to warn them.
Yeah.
Give them a little heads
to
up.
have what we can do, and what we should do is talk about how we've all finished the second season of Severance.
We have.
Because James caught up very quickly as soon as
Literally
he had
2
it on
days.
his table. And we all thought it was the bee's knees. It's fucking excellent.
Pretty awesome.
In just about every way possible. Must-see TV. So far, show of the year 2025. I haven't seen Adolescence yet. I know I need to. But the Severance Season 2 so far just...
Yep, it was great.
so fucking good.
Start to finish.
So fucking good.
that's
The
it.
way I would talk about a season of Fargo, I'm talking about Severance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything else, John?
Brilliant
Well,
shit.
If I can't talk about Severance, I will say I finally wrapped up the main story mission of Borderlands 3.
Hey.
So I'm
Congratulations.
finally on to what everybody knows as the fun part of every Borderlands game, which is the DLC.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah, exactly.
And so I've
Is
just
Borderlands 3 the one that has Tiny Tina? Or
yeah.
the D&D one? Or is that a separate thing?
that was Borderlands 2.
Yeah,
Okay.
Borderlands 2.
And then there's its own game.
Okay, got it.
Because there was Dragon's Keep.
That's right.
And then they made the whole other game.
Lots of Borderlands.
Yeah. No, so I've been enjoying loot explosions and
Yes.
casinos and all
Nice.
the wackiness. So I'm finally having fun again. But
Learning to love Borderlands again.
right. One tiny TV note. Me and the lady have been watching the latest seasons of Righteous Gemstones.
Nice.
Oh,
Which is
I need to do that.
Still funny, still irreverent, but
the last season.
at this point, I'm asking why.
I think we have one season left,
it's
right?
the last season. Like
Yeah,
this is the
last season right now.
Yeah.
What is the gentleman's name who created it? What is his name?
That I do not remember.
Oh, isn't that a Danny McBride
Oh,
show?
yeah, it
Yeah,
is a
Danny
Danny
McBride.
McBride.
I think the only reason this season exists is because Danny McBride, I'll just say it, did not have the balls to kill off everyone in the last season during the locust storm or whatever.
I haven't finished that season yet, so something to look forward to.
Sorry,
That's all right.
not everybody gets killed. Spoilers, not everybody dies.
Right, because there's another season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hector, what about you? What are you
Oh
up to?
man, I'm still playing the first Berserker Kazan. It's fantastic. It is delicious, Souls-like food directly into my soul. Soul. I said soul twice. Other than that, all of my shows ended. Man, Invincible ended. Severance ended. I was watching something else that also ended. We're gonna talk about in your segment, Devil May Cry. But yeah, man, like I need new TV to watch, and I know I need to watch Adolescence. If you guys don't know, this is a show that is all the rage right now. It's apparently a very intense show. No spoilers at all. The first episode of the first season is about a 13-year-old boy accused of committing a very violent crime. And every episode of the show is a oneer. And I don't mean like in a cheesy way, like it's supposed to be like really hard or impossible to see the cuts. Like most of it was shot almost entirely as a oneer. Literally, like it would take them 5 days to shoot an episode because of how many takes they had to do and how long it took to reset a take, because the shows are as long as they are and there are very, very, very few cuts. Supposed to be artistic, beautiful, intense, difficult, all those things, and that was what was recommended to me, and I'm passing that along, and hopefully I can report back next time and say that it's really good.
Okay. On my side of the world, I know that I've been talking a lot about The Last Faith, which is a Castlevania / Bloodborne indie title. I managed to accidentally stumble my way into the true final boss, so we're going to be there a while. It's not Sekiro hard, but that final boss can get fucked a little bit. Last night we watched Birdman, which I had never seen before.
Or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance.
Yeah. One of the few movies that I gave a 5-star review on Letterboxd and basically just said, I can't believe I waited as long as I did to watch this movie.
Speaking of
it is
oneers.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely
What
fantastic.
an incredible movie. I was there too. I watched it with him. It was like coming home to an old friend, because I watched that movie a lot the year it came out. I cheered up and down at the Oscars as they won, I think like 4 or 6 of them, I forget. They won a lot of Oscars for it. And yeah, man, it just perfectly holds up to this day. What a great fucking movie from a masterful director and an incredible cast.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic cast. Before we get to DMC, which we aren't going to get into spoilers for that, we're just going to kind of lightly talk about it. I want to talk about something we very rarely talk about on the show, and that's books. So I just wrapped up Doom Guy, which is John Romero's book about his life in being the Doom Guy. I really had a misconception about John Romero, that I thought that he was kind of cockier than he was, because the media presented him as the rock and roll king of video games. That was never something he wanted. That was something that was actually forced upon him, because there was a marketing person who said, we can sell more copies if we present you as this rock and roll face of the company.
Yeah.
He's actually a very, very chill dude who still makes Doom mods to this day, still is in touch with the community. His book is very humbling because he talks about the things that he did wrong. He talks about how much he cared about John Carmack, them reconciling after all the years of them being apart. It is very touching in a lot of ways. Coincidentally, the second book that I read, I believe if you are looking for 2 books to read back to back, this is the one you should read, and that is called Control Freak by Cliff Bleszinski. And it is his story of getting started with Epic Games, him as a kid creating Jack Jackrabbit, him creating, helping create Unreal and Unreal Tournament. It's about him creating Gears of War. It is a lot about his life and how he was bullied and how he was a really shitty person. And he talks a lot about that. And the reason I say that these books are great when read back to back is that early in Cliffy B's career, when he got arrogant, he began to shit on John Romero publicly because he was like, hey, you've gotten old. Look at you fucking up with Daikatana, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. A lot of his book is him saying, please never think like that. You are all working in an industry together, and we should be rising each other up, and we should not be shitting on each other. And it's a very humbling book.
And I think it's important to note, John Romero never wanted to make us his bitch.
Correct.
He never did. And he talks about that in the book.
Yeah.
That's part of the advertising campaign that he didn't want to do. He specifically told them, I do not want to do this. And the marketing person's like, this will get us more sales if we make the John Romero will make you his bitch advertising.
You know what would have got them a lot of sales? Is like releasing a good video game.
I mean,
Like
Finishing it.
Yeah, Daikatana was like one of the most. That was like the Cyberpunk pre-patch bad. It was
So-
which I don't want to say worse, but like fucking practically unplayable.
right. And so he does talk in Doom Guy. He talks about what happened with Daikatana and why it happened the way that it did. And as a juxtaposition to that, in Cliffy B's book, he talks about Lawbreakers and how
yes.
that became such a trash thing that happened. And again, if you're looking for two books to read, please read these two books back to back. Like, they are just such a great insight to the games industry. And I'm not going to go into it right now, but I literally just today started Good Game No Rematch, and that is Mike Drucker's book on his life in video games.
Hell yeah.
So the final thing we're going to talk about, and we are not going to talk about spoilers, but let's just bring it up. Devil May Cry.
Devil May Cry is an anime by the same studio that brought us Castlevania. And Castlevania
Powerhouse.
seasons like 2 through 4 and Nocturne and like so much good shit. Also Cyberpunk.
Yep.
Like they're just nailing it, adapting video games to anime.
Yep.
And 12-year-old me says, "I fucking told you so." It's like we need to make a movie out of this video game. No, make an anime, dumbass.
Yep.
You can draw the crazy shit on screen easier than you can make a shitty-looking prop so that it looks like the guy from Ong Bak is a monster hunter.
Yep.
Make an anime. A Monster Hunter anime would slay. Like we got Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry fucking rules. It feels like the game in all the ways that you want it to.
It's a love letter to the 90s.
Oh, absolutely. In the same way that Dante is.
It opens, and this is not a spoiler, the show opens every episode by playing Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, it does.
And
Yeah,
I
it
never
does.
thought I would be excited about that, but Jesus Christ, is that the most fun thing.
Yeah,
The
no,
ep-
at first I was like, really, this song? And I never once skipped the credits, dear viewer. Not once.
Like, there's that. Fucking Evanescence made a new song for it.
Yeah.
And they put out an AMV for the new song.
Yeah, it's just sitting there on YouTube pretending to be a trailer. It's an AMV for an Evanescence song of this anime. And it's fucking, it slays.
So not only
It's so good.
is this show good, not only is it a love letter to the 90s, the soundtrack to this fucking show. And there are a few things that you can just make James happy with, and that's by putting Gunship in a fucking show.
Oh yeah, put Gunship in anything, and I'm doing the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
One of my favorite fucking bands of all time that you introduced me to.
I did. Yeah.
And good God, they used, 2 songs of theirs?
Yeah, and they just so good.
It is so good.
Yeah.
And
A lot of the needle drops, I was like, oh man, good stuff. They use motifs from the music in the game too throughout different scenes. It's so cool.
yeah, and I actually do want to do a dedicated boss room for Devil May Cry. What I will say is that last night I finished episode 6 and immediately messaged my Discord. We have a DMC spoilers channel in my Discord, and all I said was, Jesus fucking Christ, episode 6.
Yeah, that is a special one. In
It
the
is
same way
art.
that
It
some
is art.
episodes of things are special, this was that. This was the one
If
that
that
was like,
episode
oh,
doesn't
damn.
win a fucking award, I will be disappointed.
It should. It absolutely should.
Absolutely should. Devil May Cry,
Mm-hmm.
Netflix. Watch it on Netflix. Put on your pirate hat if you need to.
Yeah.
Fucking sail the 7 seas to go see it. It is worth every minute of your time. 30-minute episodes. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, maybe it's because I'm high while I'm watching it. It does not feel like 30 minutes.
It doesn't. Yeah, I got through the entire season in 2 sittings. I'm sure you can do better.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's everything for the show this week. Thank you to everybody who has tuned in. All the comments that are going on. Complicated topic this week. Nintendo
Yeah.
has really made some weird moves, and we're all kind of just living in their world.
Yeah, just to remind everyone, I'm not a Nintendo guy at all, and I spent a lot of this episode defending all the moves Nintendo's made today.
Yeah.
Like it was, I'm impressed, but it's not very often that a company comes out and impresses me with something, and this was impressive.
Yeah, and maybe the Switch 2 isn't for you. Maybe you're just a Steam
I'm
Deck
not
kind of
buying it.
person. But, like I said, the tech is good, and they really seem to be backing it.
Or maybe through a combination of Switch 2 and tariffs, piracy is back, baby.
Hell
I mean,
yeah,
it has
time
been
to
for
put
a
on the eye
while.
patch.
And all right, that's everything we have for the show this week. Don't forget you head over to goodnight.gg to become a patron of our show. You can head over to facebook.com/GNGGcast where you can chat with us, as well as at GNGGcast on Twitter and goodnight.gg on Blue Sky to talk to me directly. So until next time, for Hector, this is James.
And for James, this is Hector.
And for you, this is me.
Everyone, good night.
And good game. Like, he doesn't want that.
Okay.
these to him.
Goodness.
And Mom